All right, Stephen, we're back. Today we're talking about something that you say is not new. It's not necessarily new, but it's still in beta. It's been in beta for a minute, but we're seeing a lot of demand for it these days, and that's HubSpot's programmable emails. So let's kind of start at the top, 40,000 foot view. What are programmable emails?
Yeah, I think everybody receives programmable emails, but don't necessarily know the definition of them. Common use case, I always like talking about it. Everyone point other as for LinkedIn. When you apply for a job on LinkedIn, they start feeding you, jobs through email that kind of meet the searches you might have performed, on LinkedIn, or filters that you might have set up for, location, salary, industry, job title. And then, hey, new jobs come out. You get those emails in your inbox every morning. Hey, there's 10 new jobs to apply for. That's the definition of a programmable email. It's a relatively new feature still on the HubSpot side, still in beta, but we've been fortunate enough to do a couple of projects with them now. In the past, of course, HubSpot's been able to have send emails for ages, but everyone received the same email. The content didn't change. The beauty of programmable emails now is the content changes. They're personalized. Which of course just leads to a much better experience, especially using that kind of LinkedIn use case there as an example.
Yeah, so I think like a basic automated email, all replies on an if-then system, right? If this, then send that. And so that is somewhat customized for the end user, right? The person receiving the email. What's kind of the difference between just your basic automated email based off a set of conditions and a programmable email?
Yeah, it's a programmable email. Typically use cases for bringing outside information into HubSpot and then using that to generate the content for these, more personalized programmable emails. And I can go through a use case of a nonprofit that we worked with that has their own custom CMS, and they essentially, they offer both a job portal as well as training courses. For people who didn't go to college but are still looking for high paying, skilled labor type jobs. And so they'd been using, Marketing Hub Enterprise for several years, and then they had their CMS, which was completely separate, that they weren't speaking to each other. So what we did in this case was we built API integrations to HubSpot and their CMS speak to each other. And then we created custom objects in HubSpot that stores the data. When someone creates an account on their CMS, they're probably setting up filters for their job. They might be setting up filters for the type of training courses that they're interested in. Through this API, we pull all of that data into HubSpot into a custom object. And that's where the programmable emails come into play, where in the past, the data for, again, for any sort of, like, even if it was personalized email, still had to come from a property that was within HubSpot already. But now we can build these custom objects, we can build API integrations, we can pull that data in, and we can really get flexible with the logic for it and really create customized logic based on what, based on what a client needs for this specific use case. So in this example, we again send emails on different intervals. We send them for different, different job titles that they might be interested in, or locations, or salary bands, kind of similar to a LinkedIn use case. But now HubSpot speaks with their CMS, and now we're able to trigger these emails on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and not just trigger them, but build out custom reporting in HubSpot that then shows shows kind of the ROI that they might be getting on these programmable emails, much like HubSpot has built out and natively for a traditional marketing based email.
And it doesn't sound too dissimilar to what e-commerce has done for years, right? Related products and whatnot. I mean, the whole concept is taking the actions that you've done on the site, which is explaining a little bit of who you are and what you're interested in. And then based off of those actions, then sending you new possibilities via email in connection with, with your website. So that makes a lot of sense. So you said that this is now kind of really starting to get in higher demand. What are the different use cases that we're seeing, and what could companies out there who are like, how would programmable emails work for me? What could you say to maybe give them a little spark of where it might be able to help with their marketing efforts?
Yeah, so I say anytime you do have that kind of external system, and you're not getting what you would necessarily want from that system in terms of an email. We're working with another client right now that has an LMS, or a learning management system, similar kind of use case where you can sign up for a training course, but for whatever reason, the LMS doesn't actually support sending an email, say like an hour before that training session begins, or like, 5 minutes before, hey, your training session is about to begin. Like people are used to getting to like a Calendly Zoom type deal. It's kind of native, but a lot of LMSs don't support that. So for this client, we're getting building the API integration, pulling it into HubSpot, and we're triggering those emails out of HubSpot, which then leads to just a more personalized, relevant content to their audience. It leads to improved engagement. We're going to get more people showing up in this use case for those training sessions because they're getting those reminders. Very easy to forget when you throw something on your calendar. But now we're getting better engagement. We're getting better conversion rates. Overall, this leads to a much better user experience when you do have when you have HubSpot, you have another system. There's logic that's missing, and you can't deliver that personalized content that really everyone wants now, because everyone gets thousands of emails a week, and a good chunk of them end up in a spam folder or go into the promotions folder. But when we can really dive in and deliver that personalized content that you can tell is not coming from just a blast marketing email, it's something that was specifically written for that end user, but being able to automate that all through HubSpot, it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, and you can see it as an extension of what we always say with marketing, right? The right message to the right person at the right time. But I can even see it even more in like a customer, customer success, customer experience. Definitely like for anybody who has people utilizing a free trial, I think that would probably be an absolute game changer to be able to make sure, hey, somebody starts using this feature. You're able to see that they're using that feature, but maybe they abandoned it. Maybe they used it just, to an extent, not as much as you wish. And being able to create those messages to prompt them like, hey, jump back in. Here, check this out. Hey, do you need help with this? So I don't think that it doesn't sound like it's just a great marketing play, but a real customer success play. Would you agree? And are you seeing that anywhere?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I've talking to a lot of B2B SaaS companies that are using this on more like the churn reduction side, similar use case to kind of what you just went through. There's, all the SaaS companies, they have the data already. It just maybe doesn't always speak to HubSpot when someone hasn't logged into their, platform for, X amount of days or a week, or, their free trial is about to expire. They haven't signed up yet. They haven't converted to a paid subscription. Their credit card's about to expire. Anything that could potentially lead to churn, and you're trying to mitigate that churn risk. Great use case for programmable emails.
Okay. So if you're sitting there and you're listening, you go, I get it. Sounds cool. Yeah. I mean, we want to get the right message to the right person, right time. We believe in personalization, all that good stuff. But like, you don't know where to start, or you don't even know if, hey, what's the right use case? Does this use case even work for me? What's a good way to kind of think through it so that you can like, start exploring what options exist, so you can start evaluating if it's a route that you think you're going to be able to get a return on.
Yes, I'd say anytime, there could be multiple use cases. You're thinking through it, and you're noticing marketing emails. You're not necessarily getting the performance you want out of them. Click rates are down, engagement rates are down. We're not seeing the response that we want there. Or even you said even on the sales and customer success side, like when you're sending emails already, or not sending emails, and you see a use case to either help push people through the sales process, again based on content that they might be interacting with on your website, or even marketing emails that they might be opening, and being able to reference that within the body of the email. Anytime we can automate and personalize, it's a win-win both for the company and for the end user. But it kind of really starts with taking a step back, thinking about the use case, kind of seeing, what data points do you have that aren't in HubSpot right now? 9 times out of 10, we can get those data points into HubSpot. But definitely starts with more building that strategy, typically talking to a partner like us. Again, it is a beta featured program. Do require a fair amount of development, at least in the beginning, to get the logic set up and to build out any HubDB tables that you might need in HubSpot and custom objects. So there is a fair amount on the a fair amount of dev lift initially, but once that is there, kind of it runs on its own, and you can monitor and require on optimization. But yeah, I would typically recommend talking to a partner. It is still a beta feature on the HubSpot side. It's still something they're fine tuning and improving before they roll it out as a standalone feature. So I would definitely recommend starting with a partner and just kind of mapping out what that use case would look like.
So let's say that you engage with a partner, and what does that process look like from hey, I've got this idea to, oh my gosh, this is now working on my website. We're now sending these programmable emails to all of our prospects, customers, trial users, and we are so happy and our lives have changed tremendously. Walk us through step by step how that looks.
Yeah, we always start with discovery. We want to learn more about more about the company, more about the use case, more about what data exists, doesn't exist, where is that data living right now? Because we're going to, based on that discovery, we then go into architecture. We're going to, use a tool like Lucid Truck, for example. We're going to build out an ERD, or, a visual diagram of what these programmable emails should look like, what steps need to be taken, what are the triggers. We're going to help with writing all the logic for that, because, we could trigger, different types of emails, but the logic is going to be different for all of those, and we have to custom code that logic in HubSpot. We're going to help with writing the content for that. So we're going to build the logic. We're going to write the content for the emails. We're going to design the emails, because it still does get triggered. As an marketing email in HubSpot, we can still report on it. Look at the same metrics that you're used to looking at, but it just has to get set up and coded a little bit differently. So for a partner like us, we're there. It's more white glove. We're going to discovery. We're going through the architecture, writing the, we're designing email, coding the email, and really get through a lot of testing, because it is development. Just like you want, when you're launching a website or an app, you want to go through some rigorous QA QC, because you want to make sure that, to your point earlier, we are sending the right message at the right time, that the emails look good, and anytime there's development, there's a fair amount of QC that needs to be involved there. And then we're going to build reports on it. We're going to build the whole dashboard for you in HubSpot, so you can specifically report on the success of these programmable emails, see, where there could be room for improvement, and so that, you have that moving forward, to monitor, report, and improve upon on.
Nice. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Stephen. And I think that anybody listening realizes that there is this great world of opportunity and a lot of different things that can be done if you're kind of, really wanting to make sure that you are personalizing your marketing and your customer experience. And these can actually be a really huge benefit and just another awesome feature that we have at our disposal with HubSpot. So thanks so much for being here and explaining all that for us.
Perfect. Thanks for having me.
That's it for today. If you like what you see, give us a thumbs up and make sure you hit subscribe so you can see our latest videos as soon as they drop. We really appreciate you watching. See you next time.